Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've all been enjoying the Witch Queen expansion up to this point. The update implemented a lot of very welcome changes in my opinion, just one of which being the Void 3.0 subclass update. And me being a Voidwalker Warlock main at my core, this was the change that intrigued me the most. So as I worked my way through the main campaign and the post-campaign activities, I was always looking for ways to get the most out of the updated Voidwalker subclass. In this video, I'm just going to keep it simple for the time being and highlight a handful of Warlock exotics that I think work very well with the new Void subclass. I'll definitely do some more focused breakdowns on some of these exotics as the season progresses, and throw together some build videos as well, digging deeper into the specifics. But for this one, just some Warlock exotic armor options that you may want to keep in mind. Starting out with what I consider to be the premier general use Voidwalker exotic, Nezarec Sin. This was a vanilla D2 launch exotic, and it's still running strong over 4 years after its initial inception. Void damage kills are going to proc Abyssal Extractor, increasing ability energy recharge rates. And that is any void damage kill, ability or weapon. And the improved recharge rate does apply to all abilities, melee, grenade, rift, and super. And something else just to keep in the back of your mind, Nezarec Sin is subclass neutral. I do feel it pairs best with a Voidwalker Warlock since we do have increased options for void-based damage, but if you want to run Arc Stasis or Solar and just bring along some void-based weapons, you can do that. As far as the cooldown time reductions, they're significant. I haven't had a chance to rerun the numbers since the overhaul to the abilities back in December, but my previous results, which I showcased in this video, were impressive, and I don't think the numbers are going to stray too far off of that. Ability cooldowns were being cut anywhere from 30 to 50%, and that was with a limited amount of kills. And Nezarec Sin was able to knock minutes off of our super cooldown if Abyssal Extractor was up for an extended amount of time. Nezarec Sin is a great exotic, and it's certainly worth trying out if you haven't had it on recently, and I will try to get some updated numbers for you sometime this season. Next exotic, Controverse Hold, with its exotic perk, Chaos Exchanger. Resist incoming damage while charging your Void Grenade. Charged Void Grenades return grenade energy on hit. These gloves are a little bit more niche than Nezarec Sin, working only with Void Grenades. More specifically, Vortex, Scatter, Magnetic, and Axion Bolt Grenades. And you will need to be running the Chaos Accelerant aspect to make use of this exotic. For the energy returned on a grenade hit, we're looking at right around 40%, and that's just for causing damage with a grenade. You do not need to secure a kill. But it's not going to proc on every tick of damage scored. There is a short cooldown timer between Chaotic Exchanger activations. If you're running a Vortex Grenade though, the lingering duration of the grenade can outrun the cooldown. This will allow for a double proc, netting around 80% of your grenade energy refunded. And you're also going to take less damage when you are charging your grenade, and that reduction is right around 20%. It might not seem like a whole lot, but it can be the difference between getting behind cover just in time and waiting for a revive. Now, Controverse Hold did receive some retuning a few months back. It used to refund a random amount of grenade energy, between 25 and 100%. Bungie decided they were going to level it out at around 40%. A slight nerf in my opinion, but if you build around your grenade abilities just a little bit and position your grenades properly, you can still throw a boatload of very powerful grenades. Which brings us to another set of exotic gloves, Nothing Manacles. They're not quite as potent as the previous two exotics in my opinion, but I do think they're worth mentioning. You're going to gain an additional scatter grenade charge, and tracking will be enabled for these scatter grenades. Now, when Nothing Manacles were brought forward into Destiny 2 last season, they were kind of a mess. Seemingly, the scattering particles would attempt to track, but collide with themselves, causing premature detonations. This pretty much rendered the tracking side of the exotic perk useless, and the results were only exaggerated if you were looking at charged scatter grenades. But Bungie did clean a lot of this up recently, and the grenades, charged or uncharged, are tracking a lot better. It's not always perfect, but they are performing way better than they were. Nothing Manacles did lose a little chunk of their utility in the Void subclass rework though. The old Devour skill tree would allow you to consume a grenade, get your health back, and proc Devour passively, making double Void grenade charges a selling point. We've lost that capability, but now any Void ability kill with the Devour aspect selected will proc Devour. In general, a pretty good trade-off, just maybe not so good for Nothing Manacles. That being said though, if you really do enjoy using scatter grenades, throw these on, try them out. There's definitely some fun to be had. And then we have Verity's Brow, another grenade-focused exotic with the exotic perk, the Fourth Magic. Weapon Final Blows with a damage type matching your subclass energy grant stacks of death throws. This provides a grenade damage boost and grenade energy when active. Nearby allies will also be granted greatly improved grenade regeneration for a short time. So there's kind of a lot going on here, but there are a few main takeaways. If you're running the Voidwalker subclass, bring Void weapons. That is how you're going to accumulate your stacks of death throws. I think a solid ad clearing Void primary works best, but poke around your vault a little bit and see what works for you. Each Void weapon kill will award 1 stack of death throws, which maxes out at 5 stacks. Anytime death throws is active, regardless of the amount of stacks, grenade energy regen will be improved significantly. And if you accumulate 5 stacks before throwing a grenade, the grenade damage will be boosted by 50%. So if you're charging, say, a Vortex grenade with Chaos Accelerant, using the Echo of Remnants fragment for the extended duration, and maybe the Echo of Expulsion fragment so that targets down by the grenade self-detonate, it almost feels like you're using your super when you throw that grenade. The grenade is just stupid strong, and it's going to clear rooms or waves of ads in a hurry. Verity's Brow does kind of require you to be an active participant if you want to get the most out of the exotic though. It's not an equip it and forget it armor piece. There's kind of a flow and a rhythm you have to find when you're using it, but once you find it, it can be a very powerful tool in ad clearing situations, or even for single target damage given the right scenario. On to Mantle of Battle Harmony, an exotic chess piece that I've always been a bit underwhelmed by, but its value has now increased in my opinion. It works on the same premise as Verity's Brow. Weapon, subclass synergy. If you're running a Void subclass, use Void weapons. The exotic perk is Absorption Cells. Takedowns with weapons that have a damage type matching your subclass energy grant you super energy. When your super is full, those weapon kills will now net you a temporary bonus to weapon damage matching your subclass element. This is not a passive buff. It is kill activated and has a 6-second extendable timer. Now the super regen aspect of the exotic is quite nice, even though it does have a cooldown timer associated with it. It does a good job. My major hangup has always been that kill activated 20% damage buff because it often overlapped with high energy fire in many of my builds. And in case you didn't know, high energy fire and absorption cells are not going to stack because they are both empowering type buffs. But in Witch Queen, masterwork weapons will no longer generate orbs of power on multi-kills. Instead, you need to commit a middle mod slot on your helmet to generate any orbs for yourself on weapon kills. So if you're playing solo, the cost of putting orbs on the ground for yourself has just went up. Battle Harmony can now substitute in for that 20% damage buff from high energy fire if you don't want to throw one of those mods on your helmet. And if you're not committing to the Charge with Light system, you might as well transition over to the Well system mods. As a whole, they do a very good job at speeding up your ability cooldowns, and you can make use of Font of Might, whose damage buff is going to stack with Mantle of Battle Harmony, because it's kind of an outlier and stacks with everything. Now I still do feel like this exotic is flawed on a few levels, but it is back on my radar, and I have been able to put it to good use. And just a few more exotics that I'm going to touch on briefly before we get things wrapped up. The Eye of Another World exotic helmet. It's going to increase the regeneration speed of your abilities, not your super, but your melee, your grenade, and your rift. And the nice part about this exotic is it does this completely passively. No kill activation required in any way, shape, or form. Just by throwing on the helmet, you're going to get approximately a 25 to 50% quicker cooldown depending on the ability, with the inherently faster cooldown seeing some diminishing returns. The Stag exotic helmet. Damage reduction while standing in your rift. A shot of rift energy when your guardian goes critical, giving you increased access to the Void Soul from the Child of the Old Gods aspect. And you can see there the list of intrinsic benefits that this Void Soul has. It's a very nice feature and a very welcome addition to the subclass. With the Claws of Ahamkara, the Whispers perk grants an additional melee charge. The Pocket Singularity melee, when paired with the Echo of Expulsion fragment, is pretty much a nuke on low-level packs of trash ads. So, having twice as much access to this melee ability can result in a lot of fun in lower-level activities. And Skull of Dire Ahamkara, not a very popular pick anymore, but if you can wipe out a large group of baddies with some major targets sprinkled in with your Nova Bomb, you can get up to half of your super energy refunded immediately. So you could always run lower tier intellect and then spec a little bit harder into your strength, recovery, and discipline stats. I generally don't get too hyped up for exotics that are just super energy refunding. I like to see some additional points of utility when equipping an armor piece with a gold background. But hey, if you're just here to throw the Nova Bombs, maybe this would be a good exotic for you. Try it out. But that's gonna round it out. Like I said earlier, deeper dives into some of these exotics are warranted in light of all the changes. And I'll definitely be working to get those out for you, along with some build videos coming soon as well. Between the artifact mods, the subclass rework, and the new weapons, I think there's a lot of potential for some really fun builds this season. So I definitely plan on passing a few of those along as well. But hey, if you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave it a like and consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel to catch more of my Destiny 2 content. Be sure to check out the Ironworker Community Discord, link is in the video description, and leave any thoughts you have down in the comments. How's your Void 3.0 experience been up to this point? I'd love to hear about it. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to check out this video. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.